And we're going to be going over um, some of the guidelines for this plan, some of which we sent to you guys also via email just last week as well, I believe. Uh, all right. Okay. Can you hear me now? You can hear me? All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Renee. All right. So, like I said, we're just going to go over the first phase of our reopening plan to be launched on July 6th. And then afterwards, we'll go through a brief Q&A and try to answer your questions as best as we can. So let's get started. Let's go through the next slide there. All right, so the phase one overview. So we are, as I mentioned, we're going to be starting in phases. And our phase one will involve limited reopening of the lab for no more than 2 days a week, as well as increasing cantina services. Access to the limited open hours and the cantina services will be exclusively for students currently residing in the 42 SV dorms only. Students in dorms may access the open lab hours during phase one only if they wish to. The remote curriculum will remain available during this time. Of course, these guidelines are subject to change depending on changing circumstances as it pertains to the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, the main points here is this: exclusively providing access to the students that are currently in the dorms during phase one. We're not going to be welcoming back returning students at this time during phase one of the reopening plan. Let's go on to the next slide. So the key factors as well of the phase one, our staff presence outside of facilities and kitchen staff is not required to be present during phase one of the 42 SV reopening. Students currently off campus and have been off campus for more than 7 days should not be returning to campus until 42 SV leadership announces it is safe for them to return to campus. This is expected to happen around phase 2 or 3. So after we have some success in phase one, we will evaluate circumstances and take next steps to go into phase 2. The new rules and guidelines are being put forward at this time to ensure campus safety. In particular, new rules and guidelines are being introduced as it pertains to students living in the 42 SV dorms. Our expectation is that phase one could last anywhere between 3 to 6 weeks. Okay, thank you. Phase one guidelines. So our lab access logistics will be open Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. only. There will be a capacity limit of 80 students maximum at any given time will be allowed in the lab. There will only be one entrance and exit to the lab. All other doors must be disabled and marked as emergency exits only. Workstations and chairs will be removed so that students are not able to sit directly next to one another in the lab. Sections 1, 2, and 3 will be the only sections open during this limited capacity period. All conference rooms will be off limits and closed until further notice. All up and congregating spaces will be closed off until further notice. Bathrooms will have capacity limit signs of 2 to 4 people max at one time. Security will be primarily responsible for enforcing these guidelines. All right, next slide. PPE requirements. All students, staff, security, and contractors coming into the building must wear protective masks while in the lab, cantina, or in the dorm hallways. There's no exceptions to this. Zones 1, 2, and 3 will be equipped with visibly marked dispenser areas for masks and gloves for those students who need them. The security desk in the lab will also have masks and gloves at the front desk for those who need them as well. Masks will be routinely restocked to ensure there are always more than enough masks and gloves available. All students will be asked to wipe down their workstations, including mouse and keyboards, before and after each use. This is incredibly important that everybody abides by these PPE requirements. Next slide, please. Cleaning and maintenance. As we've shared, all students will be asked to wipe down their workstations, including mouse and keyboards, before and after each use. Lab will be cleaned thoroughly by the cleaning crew, including bathrooms on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays when the lab will be closed to the student population. And doors will be cleaned thoroughly on Mondays and Wednesdays. The cleaning days for the dorms are subject to change depending on a variety of factors, though. Next slide, please. CYD and academic updates. Our previous CYD policy will remain suspended until further notice. Peer corrections will continue to be done remotely until further notice, despite the limited opening of the lab. Testing on site is not anticipated to resume until all dorm students are checked back into the dorms during phase 2 or 3. COVID-19 testing. So as all of you know, in the dorms, we have a resource to provide COVID-19 testing available to all the students living in the dorms. This testing is provided at no cost to all the students, regardless of insurance coverage status. A second testing date on site will be confirmed, hopefully by early next week. Tri-City Health will be coming towards the end of the month. Right now, we're contemplating either the 24th or the 30th. And I do really want to emphasize, I want to thank, first of all, those of you that already registered and got tested. Thank you for doing so. That's very responsible of everybody. Really encourage all of you guys living in the dorms to really take advantage of this service. Having access to tests, as you guys know, has been very challenging, to say the least. So taking advantage of this resource is certainly important. We will be reaching out to the dorm students individually next week and discussing more this testing options, and hopefully encouraging all of you to participate in this. The next slide. Of course, everybody's encouraged to take advantage of the testing services. The test results will be shared with 42SB leadership for the sole purposes of quarantining students who test positive and directing them to care and service from other service providers. Tri-City Health is required to share test results and information with the CDC and State Department of Public Health. We will not share student patient information under HIPAA laws with any additional agencies. The only information they will share is if tests were negative or positive, and that is all. And as I said, that's only for the purposes of, in the event that positive test results do come back, being able to quarantine those students that test positive. Next slide, please. We are introducing some new dorms guidelines as a result of COVID. Students currently off campus who have been off campus for more than 7 days should not be returning to campus until 42SB leadership announces it is safe for them to return to campus, ideally during phase 2 or 3. All students must coordinate their return date and other logistics with 42 facilities manager and RAs by contacting Mother or facilities manager Manny Villarreal at manny@42.us.org. So this is incredibly important that those of you that wish to return or need to return, again, we're asking that you don't return during this phase 1. And then once we pass this phase 1, that you coordinate your return date with facilities and with our RAs, so we can ensure that you return properly and we have the proper preparation to do so. Students who return to campus without proper notification to 42SB facilities team and the RAs will be turned away. All students who choose to leave the dorms at this time should alert the RAs and facilities team to ensure a proper checkout from the dorms takes place. This is incredibly important for us to know who is in the dorms, who's left, who's still there. It really makes all of our jobs a lot easier. So I want to commend all of you that have been checking out responsibly and letting the RAs know and the facilities team know. But it really is important that we are aware of who is coming and leaving the dorm facility. So please abide by these guidelines. Next slide. More new dorm policies. With dorms that have more than 3 students per room, we're going to be reducing those to 3 students per room. Students will be asked to move to make these accommodations happen by June 29th, 2020, so by the end of this month. So next week, we'll be reaching out to those rooms, the RAs and the facilities team and myself, to make plans to coordinate moves that have more than 3 students per room. So we'll coordinate that for you after June 15th, so starting next week. Dorm checks. So go back there. Dorm checks, effective June 15, 2020. Dorm hallways and common areas will be regularly monitored by security on a daily basis. So starting on Monday, that will be the case. Security will have the right to inspect rooms suspected of having gatherings, guests in their rooms, or otherwise violating 42 SB dorm policies. So we're taking this very seriously, as everybody that's in the dorms, that's been in the dorms, knows that, we're not supposed to have guests there, and especially not right now. We shouldn't have more than 4 people in the room with social distancing in place, and we're trying to do the best to obviously keep everybody safe and healthy. So we're taking this very, very seriously, and we're going to have to make sure that no one's violating these policies. Next slide, please. Cantina guidelines. The cantina will begin limited operations on June 22nd on Mondays and Wednesdays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Because the lab won't open, we'll rectify this, but it'll be until 6 p.m. I do believe, starting on the 22nd. But we will send something out on via Slack to confirm the start-up hours. But by July 6th, those will be the hours: 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Fridays. Cantina will only be open for to-go pickup options during operating hours. Cantina will not be open for sit-down meal options. The 6-foot distancing measures will be put in place for food pickup during operational hours. All students and staff must wear face masks at all time while in the cantina, and the cantina meal services will remain free during phase 1 of the reopening. I believe right now the academic team and Chef Cat are working on updating the website so that it'll make it a little bit easier for you guys to place your orders and also arrange the pickup times. But again, we'll have some more information going out about that next week as well. Next slide. Disciplinary actions, effective June 22nd, 2020. Students will be disciplined accordingly for violating 42 SV policies and the following guidelines presented during the COVID-19 closure. Students who do not comply with wearing a mask in the labs, cantina, and in the dorm hallways will be provided 1 warning. A second face mask violation will result in intra-account being locked and access to the lab prohibited for 2 weeks. A third violation will result in being removed from the 42 SV dorms. Students who have unauthorized guests and gatherings, 4 people or more, in their rooms will have accounts locked out and no access to the 42 SV lab for 2 weeks. A second violation will result in being removed from the 42 SV dorms and expelled from the 42 SV program. So we're taking this very, very seriously. Again, this is for everybody's safety, that we do not have gatherings, that we do not have guests in the dorms at this time. And what really we never should, but particularly now, we really have to take this seriously. So I really want to emphasize this point, that we're doing this for everybody's safety and for all of and for public health, that we abide by these guidelines. And that's why we're presenting these disciplinary actions, because we're taking this very seriously. Next slide, please. Next steps and measures. So we're going to be presenting a more detailed plan, and an emergency response plan will be shared prior to the opening at a second virtual town hall in late June 2020. We'll confirm that date also by next week, what that date will be, but it'll be towards the end of the month. Success of phase 1 will mean that overall cases of COVID-19 in the region stabilize according to local, state, and federal health agencies. Also, it will mean that there are no major incidents of COVID-19 on 42 SV campus, essentially not having no more than 5 cases over the phase 1 period. And then the student population adheres to phase 1 policies and procedures, So there's no disciplinary issues or actions are very minimal. So though that's what we're looking at to see happen over the phase one of this reopening plan. Next slide. I think that might go ahead. Again, please note that as a nonprofit educational institution, we are taking these steps to protect our community and comply with our local government and public health officials to mitigate risk and limit the spread of this virus are implemented. Should phase one measures be met, campus will move to phase two, which will involve opening the lab for more hours, more days, more staff presence, and allowing the returning of students and planned waves to the dorms. Please note that this is a draft plan. All staff and students should be aware and mindful that operations may be suspended and the lab may be shut down again should conditions require it, right? So we have to be very adaptable at this time about the conditions in response to COVID-19. But we're obviously hopeful that this will be our reopening plan and things will move forward successfully. All right. Well, thank you all. We do appreciate everybody joining us today and the eagerness to continue with 42 projects, even at this difficult time. And definitely excited to see folks when we're open on July 6th. And of course, don't panic. Okay. And I believe we have some questions.
Oh, there you go. My microphone was muted, so people didn't hear me. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. I know I'm on the line also with Ulysses here. Um, Once again, if you guys have questions, have comments, concerns, anything right now at the moment, please send your questions on Slido. Go to slido.com. And the code should be 42 Town Hall. Should be the first one that's coming up. We are having a lot of questions. Ulysses, if you're seeing the first question, if you want to take lead on it and start answering that.
Yeah. At this point right now, we don't have a plan to move to SF or sell the dorms. I know that it has been contemplated, but there's no confirmation of any of that happening. Definitely not happening anytime soon. As far as the Fremont location having a future, yes. Obviously, the pandemic presents some challenges, and I know we're evaluating, what more we can do virtually and remotely because this is going to be the new dorm for some time now, where we have to provide more remote learning and virtual learning opportunities. But yes, we have a future. We just have to adapt to these changing circumstances. How does the school plan to continue given that most of our students are here on visas and they're about to expire and we won't be getting new cadets? So as far as the visas, we don't get involved with that. Right now we are looking at resuming some operations in the fall and bringing cadets back. But like I said, because of the pandemic, we just have to be very careful about how we resume operations and open up a date for returning cadets and bringing in new students. Are the doors in the back of the dorm ever going to get fixed? The fob reader doesn't work on any of the back doors anymore. I believe we will. We are working on fixing that, and then also once we fully go into June 22nd and into July 6th for the reopening plan, we're going to be asking that folks only use the main entrance of the dorms. But we are working on fixing all doors and all other issues there in the dorms there. Why did creators 42, Gaetan and Kwame left 42 and started another same school, Quasar in Silicon Valley? Is 42 going down? I have no knowledge of that, so I can't answer what Gaetan and Kwame are doing at this time. From the COVID-19 testing drive that happened on campus, were there any positive cases reported? If so, how many? And how can we keep the 42 community safe? Good question. Luckily, no positive cases were reported, so that's good for us. However, emphasize it's important to keep the community safe that you guys do register to take this test. That's the only way that's one of the best steps we can do to make sure that everybody's safe. What is the rationale behind beginning to require masks in the dorms 2 full months after we closed the school due to a pandemic? When we closed the school due to the pandemic, we closed the lab, and obviously guidelines at the state, local, and federal level have been shifting and changing since the shutdown. Now that we know a little bit more and the state and local government is providing more guidance, they are indicating that as we reopen the economy, so to speak, and reopen institutions, that strongly encouraging that folks wear masks, in public spaces and in public, and that's why we're making that a requirement. If we're going to resume operations, then we have to abide by these regulations. When is a rough estimate for the school to fully open? July, September next year? Well, obviously, we're working on opening in phases. So we want to open in July 6th in this phase and hopefully have some success. And based on that success, we're hoping that we'll be fully operational ideally in the fall. But again, I can't commit to that because as you guys know, you guys watch the news, the pandemic is, not a predictable thing at this time. So we have to put safety first and adapt to what those circumstances will be. But obviously, we're very eager to get back to normal operations soon. When do cadets out of the dorm return to the lab? So that, again, we mentioned in the presentation, after phase one. So after we have hopefully some success in from July 6th reopening, we see that things are operating well. There are no major issues. We'll move into phase two, and at that point, we'll begin to welcome the dorm students back in phases. And obviously, we'll have more details about what that will mean and how that will take place. And Chef Cat and the rest of the Cantina team, you guys rock too. Thank you so much for everything. Yes, shout out, of course, to Chef Cat and the team. Thank you guys. Shout out to Ulysses, Manny, the RAs, and the whole Bocal team. You're doing a great job handling everything that has been going on. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. We appreciate all that. We're doing this for all of you. Make Wi-Fi great again, please. Shout out to the DevOps team. I know it's been challenging. I appreciate everybody's patience with the Wi-Fi. We're constantly working to improve that. Elliot and Joe have been working really hard to make that better and constantly evaluating different methods so that we improve the Wi-Fi. I know we just ordered some new access points, so they should be installed hopefully next week. So constantly working to improve the Wi-Fi there. So I appreciate everybody's patience, and also big shout out to the DevOps hopes that work and help out to make the Wi-Fi better there. Where were we? Will there be a CYD policy applied when the school reopens for cadets at the dorms? If so, what will be the guidelines? What will be the lab hours of operations? So that will happen in phase two. We'll be fleshing that out further after phase one. As I mentioned, right now, phase one CYD policy is suspended. Once we pass phase one, we'll address new dorm guidelines as well. When will the new cadets, seniors enrollment begin? So again, after phase one, depending on that success, we'll have hopefully a more projected date of when we can begin to welcome new students to the school. Because of COVID-19, been staying at a friend's place for the last 2 months, but would like to come back to dorms as not to abuse their courtesy and hospitality. Please advise. So as we shared in the presentation, please wait until phase one passes to return. We don't return at this time because of what we said. If you've been gone, we would like to just succeed in phase one, make sure we're operational well, and then welcome students back after phase one. Any guidelines for those who stay at dorms but are currently away? So if you've been away from the dorms, like we shared in the presentation, please, stay away from the dorms for now. And then once we pass phase one, we'll welcome students back. When will the cantina operate back as usual now that Alameda County has opened up restrictions? So we are increasing the capacity starting June 22nd, as you guys saw in the presentation. We will not allow for seating in the cantina during phase one. But after phase one, we'll evaluate how much we can reopen the space. What about cadets who live in the dorms but are not on campus? I'm sure there is a plan being worked out, but if there are obstacles, let us help find solutions. So as I said in the presentation, if you've been off campus for more than 7 days, we're asking that you stay where you are during this phase one of the reopening, and we will then let you know when it's fine to return to the dorms. Will we automatically be added to the new curriculum, or will we have to wait for the school to officially open? So I believe that that's more of an academics question, but I believe the date was June 15th for most folks to get to level 10 to not lose all their work. But I believe that date may be extended, but I think we'll have to send something out from academics to better address that question. Will the gym and the other rooms be open as well, or will they continue to be closed? The gym and the basketball court and all those spaces will continue to be closed during phase one. Once we pass phase one, we'll evaluate the reopening of those spaces. When will the lab be open? What's going to happen if my intro is blocked? Am I even allowed to continue studying in 42? What to expect? So if your intro is blocked for a disciplinary issue, it usually is blocked for a week to 2 weeks. So you can reach out to academics, Manny, or even myself, and we'll find out if we can remove that block. So you just reach out to us in that regard. Of course, we want everybody to continue studying at 42. When social distancing is in place, how full will the labs get? Will there be wait times? So as I shared in the presentation, our capacity will be 80 people at any given time. We'll do a count as people come in. There should not be wait times, given that it's only open for the students that are currently in the dorms. So we don't anticipate that being an issue. How the returning policy is enforced, what happens if people just return and don't tell anyone? Well, that's not good. Right now, that's why we're shifting security to be more present in the dorms, to be more vigilant of what's going on in the dorms. Again, we don't want people to return at this time. We really want to be safe and cautious. If you do see someone returning, of course, let us know if something is not safe, it's not right. Let us know. So that's the only way that we can fully address those issues. I think we answered that question. Approximate date of phase 2 and 3. How long will phase 2 last? Will phase 2 have limits? Well, what happened there? Sorry. Hey, Renee, can you go back? I lost that.
Yes, hopefully it should be this one, right?
Yeah. How long will phase two will last? Will phase two have limits on how many people can be in the labs? Um, so we'll present that when we get there. Uh, we anticipate that each phase will last 3 to 6 weeks, but I can't fully confirm that at this time. Right now, we're just trying to get past this phase one part. Can we reopen the gym with social distancing face masks as a compromise? Unfortunately, we cannot do that at this time. Um, there are rumors about embezzlement from previous staff and leadership. Can you speak more to this and provide some transparency about the finances currently? I cannot speak about any past embezzlement. I'm not aware of any such things occurring in the past here. Um, uh, our finances are fine as we stand right now. Other than that, I can't really speak to anything that may have transpired in the past. When social distancing is in place, how full will the labs get? Will there be wait times? No, we answered that already. Are there stats on how many students work on the curriculum? I believe that there are. I did not have those in front of me. That's more of an academics question. I don't live in the dorms, but I live in my vehicle on campus and have been using the restroom in the dorms in the evening. How will the guest policy affect me? I believe for using the showers and using the restroom in the dorms, we shared that when we first shut down the lab. Folks that are using the lab showers and stuff like that, that will still remain in effect um, during the times that the lab is open. I mean, that the lab is generally open, Monday through Friday and all that. So that should not change for those folks that need to use the restrooms and showers in the lab. Big thanks to the Vocalians and staff who continue to plan virtual events during this time. Thank you guys. Please, yes, continue to take advantage of those virtual events and resources that the events team is putting together. Uh, After passing the COVID-19 test by Tri-City Health Center, I got 97 as charge balance on my personal page there. What is that? Should it be somehow cleared? It should be. You should contact Tri-City Health on that regard. Um, it is a free service. Will students at some point have a say in who joins Vocal, or will this always be the case of Vocal knows best? Yeah, I don't know if that's the way to approach it. Normally, academics works with the team to decide who is going to join the Vocal. That's always been the process, but I'm sure that we can continue to evaluate, process and procedures as we, reopen the school. Um, Big thanks again to the Vocalians for the virtual events, of course. What happens if there's a second wave of the pandemic? Is there a possibility of a full closure of the facility? Do we have to worry about that? Obviously, if there's a second wave of the pandemic while we reopen, then we will have to close the lab once again, and we'll have to act accordingly. We, of course, hope that that's not going to happen. So, again, let's not focus on that or worry about that at this time. I think things are improving. We're seeing that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, so we have to focus on that, I think. Is it still possible to join the remote curriculum? I missed the last town hall and subsequently have been unable to switch or join the remote curriculum. Yes, you should be able to. Please reach out to academics, Vocal, and DevOps so they can switch you over if you haven't been switched over to the remote curriculum. If the new curriculum allows remote access to the repository, does that mean that cadets do not have to live in the dorms and do their studies? I believe that is an accurate statement, but again, you can confirm that by asking academics directly. I need to take my belongings from the dorms. How should I do it? I've been away for a month. If this is pressing and you absolutely have to get that stuff out, reach out to Manny and myself. We would prefer if you can give us some time to get through this phase one until we succeed with this. But again, if it's an urgent matter, of course, and you have your belongings, reach out to us and work with us to make the arrangements. Uh, we are from, but one lives off campus. Only three in rooms. Dorms with more than 3 students per room will be reduced to 3 students per room. We are 4 roommates, but one lives off campus, so only 3 in room is it. Okay, that should be fine. But as we start doing the walkthrough checks this coming week, we will update you guys on that. Will students at some point say who joins the book? I'll always be. So we already answered that. When I need a date for reopening, a loose estimate of when I should have my plane ticket moved to. I have what happened? Moved to. I have delayed my flight 4 times now, and it's getting costly. So please, if you guys are not in California, if you've flown home, wherever home may be, do not buy a plane to return at this time. Please wait until we get past phase one. Um, I don't want to set a date of when that will be. As I said, the timeline is 3 to 6 weeks. If we're successful and we phase one goes well and we can move to phase two, the earliest that would happen will be sometime in August. But do not buy flights back until we communicate that date to you after phase one is passed. Will the modems installed on the first floor? I imagine that is referring to the dorms. We are installing some new access points on the first floor. I believe this coming week, as I shared earlier. Sorry, I lost. If students can return to dorms, will we be able to switch to remote, or will there be specific registration? Then we answered that before. You should be able to switch to remote. Just reach out to the academic team, and we'll be able to put you there. I'm on the new curriculum, but had trouble working at home. Will allowances be made with the black hole system? I believe that again is an academics question, so we should pose it. Reach out to the academic team specifically on that. I think we should be able to make some accommodations. Thanks, Vocalians and Ulysses, for continuing to strive for better communications and improved transparency. Thank you guys, of course, are trying our best here. In Paris, the black hole is twice lower due to quarantine. Why we don't have the same? Good question. Again, it's academics. We can certainly look into that and confirm if that is in fact the case, but I can't confirm that at this time. I live outside of the dorms, but I'm interested in working the remote curriculum. Who do I talk to about it? So reach out to academics, to Maya and the Bocal, and they can put you on the remote curriculum if you're not on it already. I'm currently off campus and I've been unable to switch over to remote curriculum. My Slack isn't working. Where or how can I get this resolved? So again, reach out to academics, to Maya and the Bocal, and we can make sure that that's resolved if it's not working for whatever reason. How can we get access to our mail if we are not at school at this time? So I think for mail, we have to hold it. Right now, the mail room is in the front of the lab. So whenever we resume operations and we welcome students back, any mail that's there should be there. Of course, you can reach out to us directly if there's something pressing you have to get. So you can reach out to myself or Manny for things like that, and we can try to work with you on that. If I were to leave for a few weeks, would I not be able to come back? So again, that was in the presentation. So if you do leave the dorms, please let us know. Yes, if you go for more than 7 days, you cannot come back until we go into phase two and welcome dorm students back into the facility. Idea for next time I'll have a representative from academics. Yes, we will do that. Thank you for pointing that out. Since some of the questions are academic specific, can we have an open AMA town hall here for academics as well? Yes, I think we can arrange that. As I said, sorry, we didn't have that for this time. We wanted to focus the discussion today on the reopening plan. Does phase one start from the next week, or sorry, I lost there.
Let's see which question it was. Yeah, so far the questions that are coming up now are getting repetitive in the aspect terms of academics. Let me see. Got this one, got this one.
Mm. Okay, I just got a quick message update from Manny. If you do have in the mail, he's suggesting that you can always have it forwarded to wherever address you are at as well. Uh, all right, so does phase one start from next week or the week after next? So phase one will start July 6th. However, the cantina will increase services on June 22nd. Are there any thoughts regarding the recent, whoop, what happened there? I lost that question.
Mm, it might have just gone away. All right.
Okay. Uh, do I need to check out if I've been away from the dorms for the past 3 months, but I'm planning on returning to the dorms when they fully reopen? So you should reach out to facilities RAs and even myself on that. If you've been gone for 3 months, obviously don't return at this time. Don't plan to return at this time until we pass phase one. If I can return to the school in the next 6 or so months and the school is open, will I be automatically switched to the new curriculum? Can I take a break for a year or so? That is more academically oriented, so you should reach out to academic teams, so to Maya and the Bocal specifically, to resolve that. Why isn't there someone on the town hall answering academic questions? Again, as I shared, today's focus was more on the reopening of the facility, so that's why we did not have an academic focus, but we will plan to do so at the next town hall. Um,
Okay. I think questions are now at this point are going to get very repetitive when it comes to academics.
okay.
Like we mentioned before, we will be having another town hall in upcoming weeks regarding the academics questions to this while we are settling down for the reopening. So please be patient with us. We are working really hard to have this go back to the norm it normally is. Um, Besides that, Ulysses, are there any closing remarks for today's town hall?
No, no. Just thank you guys for your patience. I know this is a challenging time, and just I want to thank you guys for your cooperation. And again, everything we're doing right now is for everyone's safety. So please just work with abiding by those guidelines, and know that this too will pass. Things will improve. Um, so just keep working hard as you've been doing, and always know that you can reach out to myself and the rest of the team. We'll do our best to resolve whatever issues there may be. And of course, looking forward to seeing everybody on July 6th, and we'll have some dates going out next week as well. Thank you guys.
Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, till next time. Bye all.